horrific murder in Utah of a conservative activist. Are we at an inflection point in our country? Where are we today?
Well, we are certainly at an inflection point, not just around political violence, but there are a host of larger trends that we have to be concerned about. I think it is important for us at the outset to acknowledge that political violence is not new. It has happened at certain periods in our history. But it is something that it is anathema to what it means to be a democratic country. And regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. What happened, as you mentioned, to the state legislators in Minnesota, that is horrific. It is a tragedy. And there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The central premise.
Did y'all hear what I hear? It sounded like the audience was kind of giggling and laughing. Let me rewind it like 10 seconds. Give me a second.
There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The central premise of...
Maybe it was something else happening in the audience. I don't know. Let's hear what else you got to say.
Of our democratic system is that we have to be able to disagree and have sometimes really contentious debates without resort to violence.
He's 100% correct on that point. I'm not necessarily an Obama fan. I do believe that Obama was not the worst president in my lifetime. I think that crown probably either goes to George Bush II or the Biden administration. The ruling is set out on the Biden administration. We still seeing the fallout from that. They adjusted the jobs over the last year from 900 down to 911,000 jobs. But as far as the point that Obama is making right now, he's absolutely right. There's no place for political violence on both sides. And when somebody loses their life, which is one of the reasons why people are holding all of these extreme liberals accountable, it is a tragedy. It's horrific no matter who you are and what you stand for. I would never advocate for somebody to lose their life just because I disagreed with them. And it's funny because not only are they advocating for it, but the propaganda machine continues to work wonders in that they chopping up Charlie Kirk's speeches. People that's never listened to or watched Charlie Kirk, probably haven't even heard of Charlie Kirk in their life, all of a sudden, they now have become experts on what Charlie Kirk has said. And I wish Obama would have said something earlier, but, Obama only pops out when apparently he got to do a speech or he's probably getting a paid gig. Then he drops it on his YouTube channel. But he's not president anymore, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is that no matter who you are, no matter what you stand for, if you have an opinion on something, regardless of whether I agree with you or disagree with you, you do not deserve to lose your life. And people need to really, really be mindful of that. And so we've gotten to a point where everybody is so sensitive, butthurt, anything that anybody says that bothers you, you think that you can just lash out. They celebrating CEOs losing their life. They, talking negatively about the white woman and making everything racial. And so, if you guys are going to, and when I say you guys, we're talking about these political figures like Obama's and stuff, if they're going to have a conversation, I think that they need to start having a conversation proactively and telling they side to shut the fuck up and stand down because they are the ones that are inciting all of this political violence. And now that we've seen that the actual shooter was in a relationship with their roommate, which happened to be a trans person, and they, we got the text messages and it seemed as though the person had been radicalized and obviously had become so left-leaning that they felt like they needed to take Charlie Kirk's life. Nobody is actually going back and retracting the fact that they thought that it was conservative. Just because his dad was conservative does not mean that he was conservative. Let's hear a little bit more of what Obama has to say, y'all.
And
It was a little slow to clap, though, on the low.
and when it happens to some, buddy, even if you think they're quote unquote on the other side of the argument, that's a threat to all of us. And we have to be clear and forthright in condemning it. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have a debate about the ideas that people who were victims of political violence were promoting. And so I've noticed that there's been some confusion, I think, around this lately.
Here we go.
And frankly, coming from the White House and some of the other positions of authority that suggest, even before we had determined who the perpetrator of this evil act was, that somehow
They have found a person within a day or two. So, but let's hear what he got to say.
We're going to identify an enemy. We're going to suggest that somehow that enemy was at fault, and we are then going to use that as a rationale for trying to silence discussion around who we are as a country and what direction we should go.
No, and as usual, Obama is on the wrong side of the argument, and this is what I always, hate about these type of discussions, is because he's trying to act like the person who they identified as the killer was not radicalized, was not an extreme liberal, was not in a relationship with a trans person, which I know that Obama is a huge advocate for the alphabet community people, and that you shouldn't condemn extremities when it comes to people advocating for violence against somebody else that they don't agree with politically or their ideologies, right? And so again, this is the type of thing that I absolutely hate. Like, we playing games here. We're playing games here. A person was killed because of their political opinion and because they were debating and influencing and impacting young people to go back to traditional values, and people that didn't agree with it and had been radicalized, especially in these liberal universities, had become so extreme that they're willing to take somebody else's life for it. That don't got nothing to do with a debate. The debate was happening on campus when Charlie Kirk got shot.
And that's a mistake as well. And so, look, obviously I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I was generally aware of some of his ideas. I think those ideas were wrong. But that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy and that I mourn for him and his family. He's a young man with 2 small children and a wife who obviously, and a huge number of friends and supporters who cared about him. And so we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. We can also, at the same time, say that I disagree with the idea that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. That's not me politicizing the issue. It's making an observation about who are we as a country. I can say that I disagree with the suggestion that my wife or Justice Jackson does not have adequate brain processing power.
See, now he's taking it out of context because God. All right, I'm not going to do this. I don't believe there's an at the same time in this type of situation, because I think that when somebody gets killed for their opinion, regardless of whether you agree with them or not, that we first need to address the issue when it comes to radicalization of the people that feel as though he should be dead for his opinion. Regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, it's not at the same time when somebody gets killed. We need to address the issue with the fact that y'all can't handle losing in a debate, regardless of where you stand when it comes to your opinions on the things that somebody says that you don't agree with. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We just did a phenomenal block club live stream on real estate, in which we showed receipts and we showed progress of exactly what we're doing. Make sure y'all tap into that. That is now just been uploaded for those of you that didn't catch the live stream. Also, we're going to continue the conversation on the Millionaire Morning Show. I love you. I appreciate you guys. And I'm going to holler at you later. I can't wait to see what y'all say inside of the comments.